record the call. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Today, I'm not even sure what day it is. I'm losing track of time as time is passing by so quickly these days. Let's see. It is the 22nd. Today is officially Victoria Day in Canada. So if we don't see a lot of our Canucks, although I see a lot of our Canucks already, it is a holiday in Canada. Fireworks, the whole thing. Kind of like your July 4th. I do know that next week is going to be the American holiday. Which one is it for you guys?
Memorial Weekend.
Memorial Weekend. Okay, so there won't be a call next week for the Aligning with a Success call for that reason, because I know it's a celebration you guys take pretty seriously. Anyway, I was just saying to the group that just joined before we went live here, I watched a video or movie tonight. I'm getting some background noise. I'm not sure where it's coming from. If you got a television on, you want to mute that because we can hear you. Just an interesting movie. You know, I like to be entertained, but this one had a little bit more meaning than just entertainment value. I read the book. It's called The Shack, and I watched the movie, and it was quite touching, very emotional. I found myself really kind of getting into it. So just a nod to the movie The Shack for those of you who like to have your soul inspired and touched on another level. Yeah, Suzanne's saying thumbs up. Good movie. Good book. Anyway, this call, as you know, for those of you who have been on it before, is Aligning with Success. And it's really designed to help bring us to an awareness about what is our definition of success and how do we align with that with a fundamental undertone, an underlying understanding that there is laws at work in our creative, ever-expanding universe, which is not impersonal. I want to make that pretty clear. While the laws tend to be impersonal, I do believe there is an ultimate creator consciousness behind the evolution of all things and the being of all things. So while the laws that operate are impartial, and again, this is kind of coming from this movie as well, because in the movie, some tragedy takes place in the life of this individual. And of course, as a result of that, he has this tremendous anger towards his creator, as I'm sure many of us actually do. We hold God to blame for a lot of the woes in our life. And there's an interesting outlook or explanation from God's point of view as to why that is not his will, but in fact, it is not for him to intervene. So the good that happens, that we help make happen, is definitely in alignment with the goodness of all being and all creation. But stuff happens, and some of that stuff is not so good in the sense of our perspective, but in the grand scheme of things, what would you rather have? Would you rather have everything be pre-orchestrated, preordained, and you have absolutely no free will in the matter? Or would you rather have the freedom to choose, and you can choose right or wrong, but the idea of having the absolute autonomy to be free and to choose, and therefore reside in a world, in an environment that it can be quite topsy-turvy because of that free will at work. Yet it's still the will of the creator that we should have free will. And so we have to take the good with the bad, or the bad with the good, as you will. So it's an interesting paradox because, you know, it's hard to take the news. I was just privy to some of the news happening right now in Manchester. I don't know if you guys are aware of what's taking place, but there was some pretty bad news coming out of Manchester, out of an arena, from people who were just there to see a wonderful performer by the name of Ariana Grande, who me and my kids really like. And so there was an incident at her concert that is cause for concern. And then it just brings into question again, how does all this happen in a world? And that's just it. The idea that we do live in a world where free will reigns. And as such, there is the will of others who are not yet aligned with their true essence, their true nature. And so the Aligning with Success call was named, I believe, because I had a desire and an urgency to bring people to an awareness that we all have our definition of what success is. But if that definition doesn't connect us to our soul, our spiritual essence, then we will never be satisfied. We will never find success. It will always elude us. And so the idea of being centered in a, let me just find out where that background sound's coming from. Let's see, I'm going to ask Cheryl, would you mind just muting yourself for a second, seeing if it's coming from your line? Anyway, the idea of having a clear definition of what success is, and then to live at that level on a daily basis. It's not something that we're striving for in the future. Changes your disposition as you approach life in all you do. So I just wanted to maybe recap for everybody my motivation for doing this call and for why it was named when it was named, in lieu of this really emotional day I seem to be having today. So forgive me if I'm a little bit all over the place, but I'll let it come out the way it does. So the best definition I ever heard in my lifetime of success is one that is from Earl Nightingale. He gave it to my mentor, Bob Proctor, who gave it to me and teaches this in all of his lectures. And that success is by definition the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. I know you've heard me say this a lot of times. It's in my presentations. The progressive realization of a worthy ideal. And Bob would say, well, a worthy ideal, by definition, is something you'd trade your life for. So success is the progressive realization of something worthy of your life, something that you would be worthy to trade your life for. So when I came across the 5 pillars of health and I saw it through the lens of that definition, I don't know if you remember, some years ago, we had this the circle with the 5 pillars, and in the center of the circle was actually the word spiritual. Now you can see that it says spirit and it doesn't say spiritual. And there was a group of people who felt that, you know, your spiritual beliefs, your spiritual path, your spiritual association, your involvement in that aspect of your life was an important pillar. And I somehow was not in alignment with that. It just didn't ring true to me, because what rings true to me is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. But then I am not my body. I am not my mind. I'm not my family. I am not society or my role in society. I'm not my money. What am I? And then the other thing that I would hear my mentor always say is spirit is for expansion. See, spirit is forever expanding, and spirit is for expansion. So the idea that I am a spirit experiencing a physical reality, and that physical reality is by definition in this 3-dimensional world that we're living in, 4-dimensional world, body, mind, family, society, finances. In other words, I experience life in my body, in the flesh. I experience life and its interpretation through my mind, the lens of my mind and how it sees information and how it interprets information. I have a family. I experience my first relationships with others through that environment called family, that pod. Extended to the extension of family is society. I experience my relationship with society, my role, my purpose, my function in that capacity. And then finances, I experience my ability to associate with the means of life, the physical, the material world through my finances. So everything is merely an expression of my spirit: body, mind, family, society, and finances. So how well I'm doing in each of these areas is really a function of the flow of my spirit in these areas, and where there might be some things that are causing some resistance. I'll give you an example of some of this. Bob would always say, you know, if you want to see how society, or how a person is making an impact on society, just look at the impact society is making on that person. That's by definition the law of attraction. So what he would say is, you know, how does society normally make an impact on people? How do you know if somebody is making an impact on society? Well, generally speaking, in that sense of the word, they're either very famous or very wealthy or both. That's generally how we get to hear about anybody, is because they've made some kind of an impact that has to do with their means, whether it's through influence or their finances, which is also an expression of their influence. Now, what's interesting is, if you look at it from that standpoint, you'd say, well, hang on a second here, Mike. I don't understand then, why are some of the wealthiest people the biggest crooks on the planet? Well, that's just it. That's the beauty of the law. It's not a moral law. It's an absolute law. An absolute law says cause effect, which means if you have a great impact on society, it's going to have a great impact on you, however society is organized. And right now, society is organized in such a way that the greater the impact you make, the greater the finances, and the greater the fame, the reward from that. It doesn't say that it has to be a good impact. It just says impact. And so there are people who are right now making a huge impact on society and having the financial wherewithal and perhaps even the fame that goes with that. And they're not necessarily the most positively influential people. For instance, you could be a drug dealer. The most successful drug dealers are very popular. They're known. We've seen them in the news. We've heard about them. Now, you wouldn't say that they are a positive influence on society, but you most certainly would recognize their impact on society. And of course, their wealth and popularity go in reflection of that. But we could have also been talking about a drug dealer who is dealing in legal drugs. I didn't distinguish whether they were illicit drugs or legal drugs. Again, very interesting. The law is the law. It's not a moral law. It's simply a law of cause and effect. The morality comes in when we start to place value on what is good and what is not so good for the sake of individuals and society. And that's something that's kind of a moving target over the years I've seen, because that does change with what's considered popular or acceptable. You know, once upon a time, this was not legal, now it's legal, or whatever. That's just simply lawmakers' laws and the shift within the scope of what we consider morally acceptable. But the law is the law. It's not about morality. It's simply about impact. Getting back to the idea of spiritual versus spirit, the idea that I am a spirit, expressing myself and seeking to express myself in a physical reality through my body, my mind, and so forth. Another example, I'd go out to dinner with Bob or lunch with Bob, and he would have French fries quite a bit, more often than I thought he should, actually. And so I would criticize him every now and then on the fact that he was ordering French fries with his food, thinking, you know, Bob, you're not exactly the young. I mean, you're getting older in life, and you should be taking better care of yourself and pay more attention to the food you're putting in your body. And he would say, Mike, body is a manifestation of mind. Doesn't matter what I eat. My body will take what it needs to fulfill its self-image, and the rest it will reject. Wow. Now there's a guy who truly believes and accepts the reality of the law. And so here he is at, I think he's now 82 or 83 years of age, just having built a studio in his backyard so he can do live broadcasts around the world and bring his message to a larger audience of people. I just celebrated this past week my father's 80th birthday, and I can tell you they are not on the same track, these two gentlemen. So I'm really impressed with Bob's integration, important word. He would call it praxis. Integration of his beliefs with his behavior. The idea that if we adopt certain beliefs and align our behavior with that, which are in fact in alignment with truth, then the truth will show itself through our existence. It will be expressed through our body, our mind, our family, our society, our finances. So all this idea, the idea that you are a spiritual being, you are a spirit expressing, then the manifestation that you've expressed right now in these 5 pillars are a reflection of what you are allowing through you. And where you might be actually having some shortcoming is because you're blocking that manifestation. You're blocking the flow of energy in that department. And so opening up to that, maybe not the easiest thing to do, but just to recognize first and foremost that wherever you may be falling short, whether it's body, mind, family, society, or finances, if we accept the idea that I am a spiritual being manifesting in these 5 pillars, and that where I might be finding myself weak is an expression of where my alignment is misaligned, where there is a misalignment between what is my natural state and what is my divine state. And so if you're dealing with some health issues, then why are you creating these health issues? What is it about your self-image? What is the benefit associated with not being in perfect health? There's a benefit, otherwise you wouldn't be creating it. Or if there's a subconscious sabotage happening, then maybe we need to look, like in this movie, at what's happened in your life that sort of stopped you from being healthy in finances or healthy in whatever area it is you might be having. I'm still getting some feedback, so I'm going to ask if you can unmute. Cheryl, if you wouldn't mind, please unmuting or muting yourself. And anyone else who may be on right now that's not muted, just I'm trying to identify where this source is.
Kathleen.
Oh, it's Kathleen. Yeah. Okay. I got it. All right. We're back. All right. So I'm going to throw this back at you guys in a minute here to discuss, because I know this is not your typical conversation when it comes to a business format. But what is business? It's simply a reflection of ourselves. How is it that the same 24 hours can yield such vastly different results for people? Again, because you're the filter through which everything is happening in your life. It's how you are shaping your reality that's creating your reality. And so it's not about whether you're a good person or a bad person. Again, if we rule out the understanding that moral issues are not going to impact the law is above that, then it's really about alignment with a clear picture of who you are and what your purpose is as an individual. Now, you guys all found your way to NECAN. And I often tell people, well, you either got here to be healed or you came here to heal. I'm going to rephrase that. I think everybody needs some healing, regardless of who you are or where you're at. We all need to be healed, because if we were truly operating at 100% alignment with who we are, we would be performing miracles, or what others would call miracles. For us, it would be just a normal day in the life of. So we all need to be healed, but many of us are called. You find NECAN as a place for you to be truly in alignment with who you are. It's the one place you're allowed to be without judgment, and supported by a group of people who care about your well-being on all levels. So that's a pretty amazing place. You found a safe harbor, I believe, in NECAN. And I want to, when I say NECAN, I mean us. You found a safe harbor in a bunch of people who share common values, common interests, common pursuit, and the idea that together we can make a bigger difference. And the way NECAN is structured, the reward is in alignment with our true sense of purpose. The money you earn in NECAN is not because someone's worse off. It's not because you've taken something from someone. It's because you've contributed to someone in a positive and meaningful way. That's why you're rewarded. So it's a very healthy way to receive. And that's true also about the reward that we get psychologically in NECAN. There's a tremendous psychological reward for feeling like you're connected to your perfect purpose when you see other people experience something positive. And it might be nothing more than a breakthrough that they're having for themselves, that you had some small hand in. So I would put it to you that your spirit is illuminated and continues to be illuminated and vibrant as you become more and more on point and on purpose. And when you recognize that in yourself, then you it's kind of one of those things that's a spiral. You actually unfold or open more of that channel up, which frees more to come in and through you, including the return of that, the return through the prosperity that we experience through the 5 pillars of health. And you can. And don't fail to recognize that you are rewarded in 5 areas of your life, not just one. The material world that we tend to equate success to tells us if it's not financially viable, if you're not succeeding financially, then you're failing. That is such a small and limited perspective of spirit. You know, your spirit is much greater than that. And there's a tremendous amount of reward and satisfaction in the joy that you receive from making a difference in the lives of other people, whether you got paid for it or not. And so this is an experience that's really quite special in Niken, that we have the liberty to be that way and feel good about being that way. So in a context that is business, in other areas might be even considered taboo, you know, you don't go there. Well, we do. That's what makes us different. That's what makes us special. And so I want to encourage you all to open up the floodgates of the prosperity that's seeking to flow through you. It's seeking to flow through you. You have been a conduit. You are a conduit. You're receiving this message because you're being asked to receive this message. That it's through you that others will be empowered. Other souls will be freed to express themselves and find truer purpose and meaning and expression. So that's the few minutes that I wanted to take today in this weird vibe that I'm in today, where it's a little more serious than normal, where I'm looking at life from a little bit of a different point of view and saying, what really matters? At the end of the day, what really matters? And I'm very proud to be associated with you guys, because I know you guys wouldn't be here if we weren't cut from the same cloth. So I'm just happy to find my tribe and hang with my tribe and just get better at what we do. That's all we need to do. We just got to get a little bit better at what we do, because we do some pretty good stuff. We just got to get a little bit better at it so that we're a little bit more popular. And quite frankly, in the noise of the stuff that's going on right now in the media, in all of that, what I see as really negative and what appears ominous and dark and confusing and lack of integrity and lack of trust and lack of blah, whatever, I just say, thank God for us, because if it wasn't for us, where would they turn? All those people who are going to be looking for a home. Let's tell them we are here, that it's actually an amazing place to be a part of, in spite of all the noise that's out there. This is the harbor that's safe. You know, it's a deep harbor. We're not superficial. We don't care just about the money. It's not just about the product. The product is all great. It's fantastic, but it is a mechanism. At the end of the day, it's just about alignment, putting the body in the correct alignment, putting the mind in the correct alignment, getting our relationships back into the correct alignment. And all the wonders of the world start to open up to us when that happens. And so that's what this gift of Niken has meant to us, I think. And certainly has for me. So having taken up 25 minutes of your life, just to maybe be a little bit of a bell to ring and remind of what we're doing here, I'm going to open the floor. So anyone, anything, the door is open.
Michael, you know, you're talking about what we offer, and every time somebody comes on board, even as a customer, but more so as a consultant and especially as a business partner, I get excited because I know what's possible for them. I can't control their trajectory, but I know that if they really embrace this and take an active part, they'll meet these wonderful people that are on this call and other people, and they will become more of the beautiful person they are designed to be. So it's a very palpable thing for me.
Thanks, Maggie. Anyone else want to share?
Well, I'll comment. Oh, go ahead. Somebody else. Someone else first.
Yes, just good evening, all. I just want to say just thank you. This is Sherelle. I'm calling from New York. I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. I didn't think, like, the progression of your calls, Mike, there, you know, I didn't think they could get better. And then when I call in, you top it. And then when I call in, you top it again. So I'm receiving your message here this evening. And I'm working on the metamorphosis of myself so I can bring the message that I need to bring, that God put me in the right place, in the right time to receive this and to use it, because that's what it's here for. It's here for me to use and to share and to let people know that we are here and this is a safe place. And I feel that. And I just want to say thank you, and thank you for everybody on this call. When you have your achievements and things like that, you share them on WhatsApp, and I'm looking and I'm seeing and I'm inspired. And I just want to say thank you all also, everybody that I met, and I will be seeing you soon at the top. And thank you all, and God bless you all.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Shirley. Anyone else?
Well, I feel like you're talking to me, Michael, because I think I sent a few comments to you this weekend, and I was doing a little bit more of the healthy mind piece with me, a little journey work within, because of a lot of what's been happening before Orlando, but since Orlando, and because of, as many are saying, this kind of self-disclosure and this kind of a mastermind group, both this one and I'm also on the Platinum Alliance mastermind group. Had the pleasure of sharing a room with Randy in Orlando. So there's really been a lot of the onion skins. I think I just said to somebody recently that this past year, and particularly since the beginning of the Launch Partners launch, it feels like humans being more clinical training, you know, related to my teaching nursing. I brought that up before. You know, we would have those intense 2 days and then you leave the room and it's just like between big quarterly events or annual events. But Michael, you said on one of the other meetings recently that this is the first time you're really a part of this kind of a team. Well, I really feel like it's really the first time of really having mentor-mentee relationships where it isn't just with you, but it's with everybody else here and how much we're learning from one another. So one of the things I think I shared with Mike, if I didn't in the note, I'll just share it with everybody. This weekend, I flicked on, as I've been walking and sitting in my sauna and so forth, some proctors. And one led to the other. And one of them was an YouTube video, an audio, well, I guess a video too, of Think and Grow Rich. But it was one of the old ones that had a few of Napoleon Hill's comments. And two things, you know, how many times just listening to it over and over again in the past 19 years for me, it's like when the student is ready, the teacher arrives, or just hearing something different. And in one of them, I heard that it was me that's different in being able to hear it. And one of them that I had to just stop and bust out laughing because I was thinking, where are these healthy finances yet? You know, where are these outcomes? Where are the Paragon Award? I mean, I flipped through on the homepage and there aren't many of anything. You know, there's all this activity going off in Latin America. So then I started feeling a little better because it just isn't only me, but then why me? You know, all of that internal stuff. But the one thing that I had to bust out laughing is when Napoleon Hill said that he worked for whatever it was, 10 years or 20 years or something for no pay, you know, absolutely no pay. But then what did he get out of it? And that's that book being read over and over again, and you know, Proctor just going over it over and over again. And I for some people, maybe if the theory is new, I've stuck my head in that theory so long, and I want to thank Maggie, particularly, and Randy, to most recently working with me. It's really that mind getting to the subconscious and the feeling level. That and understanding what that vibration means. And I have to show you what I found here. I was going to get up and pull it out. There may be somebody on here. I remember Dr. Ahrens was one of them. He had a lot of money for belonging to the 3% Club. And this was a keychain from the 3% Club, and it's that model that Bob teaches that somebody else taught him, but is really the essence of it all, and the old 3% again. But what I guess I'm really feeling with the new, not only in me, but in the term when you use democratization and what's happened with the flattening out and whatever with this whole income business, is that it really is an opportunity for more than just 3% to at least raise, and you said it tonight, it isn't just the financial pillar. And so it's so much of what we're doing and mentoring and the rewards that we get back in those other pillars. And so I am particularly grateful. I mean, there were many years my ex-husband said, do you realize how much you're spending on all of this? And I kept saying, well, someday there's going to be a return on this investment. So I guess it's the freedom, you know, to grow personally and to grow interrelationship wise with each and every one of you. So I just feel so privileged.
Well, thank you, Madeline. I wanted to actually address that in your email, but I'm going to just do it right here. And that was, don't ever underestimate what's happening beneath the soil. The miracle that's happening beneath the soil once we plant the seed is what's being drawn to that seed is everything it needs to be able to pop its head through the soil and become a plant that we see, which produce the fruit that we are harvesting. So it's the period below the soil that's the hardest. It's when you've sown the seed and you now have to walk in faith that what you are sowing, in fact, will reap a harvest. This is the part that's the difficult part of the journey, is the trust, having trust and faith in a process that is a law. And the only thing that we don't know is how quickly something manifests, but we know that the law is at work. So it's that period that you're in right now when you're not quite sure, is this all making sense? Is this all worthwhile? And that's when I reflect on, how do I feel about who I am, who I'm becoming, who I'm associated with, the work that I'm doing? How do I feel about that? Forget about the results for a second. How do I feel about who I am in this day, in the weeks that have just transpired? Because this is the definition of success I'm trying to put and point everyone's attention to. The definition where we're talking about the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. If I'm doing the work that I'm proud of, that is an expression of my highest purpose, then that day was a successful day. I'm not only planting the seeds, but I'm watering them. That's how I know, because I'm in alignment with my sense of who I am, my true sense of purpose. The law tells me that there is a time to sow and a time to reap. We know this. So we've got to just keep doing the work that makes us who we are, and just trust that behind that comes the reward, comes the reaping of the harvest. And one of the things that I'm happy about is that I found a business vehicle that is in alignment, that the things that we do that makes us who we are and put us on purpose, following those things is a reward, financial reward. It's one of those businesses where it doesn't just say there's only a spiritual benefit here. No, there's more than that. There's a financial reward. So just trust that that's in line, that you are doing the things that are bringing that into fruition. And when you do that, when you give that up and you let that go, then you empower it. It has its own end. It has its own means and it has its own end. If you can see it in your mind and feel it in your heart, you can hold it in your hand. That is the law. So just get clear about your part of it. Your part of it is seeing it in your mind and feeling it in your heart. Don't worry about holding it in your hand. That's not your domain. That's the domain of the invisible and almighty. That's connected to everything and all things all at once. So if you can hold it in your mind and hold it in your heart, you can hold it in your hand. So focus on the part that you have to hold, which is in your mind and in your heart. That's the key. Now, more than that, there's really not much more. There's just a bunch of different ways of telling the same story. And the Bible is full of it. Any other thoughts? Yeah.
Mike, it's Michelle. I believe that if you are in alignment, you will be peace. You'll be at peace. You'll be calm. It'll feel. I can't say it'll feel right. It will. You'll just feel good. You'll be at peace.
That's a really good point, because I asked this question. I don't remember if I asked this group last week, but I did ask my Team Kaizen group last week. I said, what would you feel? Here's a way to know if you're thinking and feeling the right thoughts. I want you to imagine a success in your Nikken business, like clearly define it. Now, I want you to fast forward from that moment, say a month or two. So you've already achieved what it is that you were looking to achieve, whether it was an income goal, whether it was a rank advance, however you define it. Be specific about it though. Then fast forward the clock a month or two after the success. After. Now get in touch with how it feels. Now, we took a minute and we let everybody pause on that and just feel. Go ahead and feel the feeling of what it feels like. And the comment that Michelle is making right now was the comment that came back, unanimous. It's a feeling of calm, a feeling of peace. It's not a feeling of anxiety. It's not a feeling of lack. It's not a feeling of uncertainty. It's not even a feeling of excitement. It's a feeling of calm and peace. That's how it would feel if you have attained your goal. Now, one of the things that's asked of us in the law of attraction, in the law of prayer, is whatever ye ask for and ye pray for, ask as though ye have received them and ye shall receive them. So if you have already received something, what would be the feeling associated with having received it already?
Joy.
Yeah, there wouldn't be anxiety. There wouldn't be fear. There wouldn't be apprehension. There would just be this gratefulness, this incredible, and I love asking this question. I ask it every single time I do the presentation. I ask people, what would you say? What are the first words that would come out of your mouth if you were praying for something you've already received?
Thank you.
Those are the two words, and it doesn't matter what city or what country or what nationality, everybody says it. So somehow we're all wired. We all know this truth. We would say thank you. Thank you is a feeling. Thank you is a vibration called gratitude. Gratitude is a very, very powerful feeling. To be grateful, to be operating from a state of gratitude is a frequency. There's no anxiety in gratitude. There's no apprehension in gratitude. Gratitude is the channel is wide open to receive. And that's why you will then receive it. That's what the instructions were. So I'm pretty good with those instructions. They're simple, easy to follow. But is it easy to do if we don't practice it? It's like everything. It's like a muscle. You've got to practice it. So I want to encourage us to get off of this call this week. And if nothing more than just for this week, so that you have something to share with the group the next time we meet. What does it feel like when you're operating in gratitude? What are the circumstances that you seem to encounter when you're operating in gratitude in each of those 5 pillars of your life? Don't be surprised if certain things happen that actually take you by surprise. Things that just happen that you go, wow, I would never have a million years expected that. When you start to just simply shift to the idea that you're grateful for the joy, the abundance, and the life and the lifestyle that you are receiving. However, I want you to first get in touch with that period of time 2 months after you've achieved your goal. So first you got to get in touch with having achieved your goal. Then you got to move the clock forward and then lock in on a very specific moment in time in the future. Lock into the feeling of it. Connect with it as if it is in fact you. Looking in the mirror saying, I did it. It's done. Wow. Feel that feeling and feel it. I mean, feel it from the tip of your toes to the tip of your hair. Just feel it. Get in touch with that feeling. When you have done that, you will have sown the seed of that particular experience. At which point, you now only need to do one thing, and that is remain faithful to the understanding that it is so, that it is in fact now in the hands of the divine, in the hands of the Creator to manifest according to the law. Be faithful, remain faithful to that outcome, to that experience, regardless of circumstances, regardless of current circumstances, regardless of what comes at you, no matter what. And by the way, don't be surprised if you're challenged, because some of the things that I've seen, it's as if the gates of hell open up as soon as you make a commitment to a new reality. It's just there to test your resolve. And if you remain faithful, you will see the results. You will be rewarded handsomely. And that is what is deserving of and worthy of the creation that has been made by our Creator. Born in the likeness and image of what? Yeah, those were like harps from heaven, right? Just that second there, right? Right on cue. Thank you for that.
The
angel Gabriel just said, did you hear that? Let's say that again. Did you hear that? What are you deserving of? What are you worried about? What are you worthy of? Those beings, creations of the divine, born in the likeness and image of. We just sell ourselves short. That's all. That's all that's happening. And so I just want you to get in touch with who you really are, connect with what it is you really are worthy of, which, by the way, is going to bring you nothing but joy. Connect with the feeling and the emotion of joy and the gratitude that goes with that experience, and then just walk in those shoes. If you walk in those shoes, the circumstances will then be presented to you to backfill, to support, to reinforce that reality. It's not fake it until you make it. I don't believe that that's the right use of the language. It's assume you are who you expect to see yourself as, and trust that that is the nature of reality. That reality will then organize itself around that to support that. That's been my entire experience of everything I've ever learned and everything I've ever studied. I've drawn these conclusions as absolutes. And you'll just hear me repeat that time and time again in so many different ways. But for you to take this and then start to experience it in your own way, you're going to start to reflect that. And the results that you get will be a reflection of that. We've got time for one more minute. One more minute. Anyone?
Mike, can I ask a launch partner's question?
Can you what?
Can I ask a launch partner's question? I'm trying to see if I want to request a flyer. This is Sherelle. I'm sorry. I want to request.
Sherelle, the flyer request you can make online. It's the. Do you have that link?
Yes, I do. No, my question is, if no one's available to Zoom in to my event, can I get a flyer made with just myself and perhaps my mom speaking? Is that possible?
Of course, absolutely, of course. You decide who's going to be on your flyer.
Okay, that works for me. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, one last thought. Anyone?
Yeah.
Carol?
I just want to say this was just beautiful, and it touched me very deeply, and it's so integrated to what I've been called to, and what I've been praying for, and what I've been experiencing. So I'm grateful to you. I'm grateful to God. I'm grateful to everyone. That's it. It's just amazing.
Thank you.
Yes.
I really trust that as you embody this, as you make this yours, as you be that person, whoever you're talking to, the next phone call you make, they're going to hear something that they don't even understand themselves. They're going to experience something that's going to say to them, they need to listen to you. and they'll listen to you in a different way. I trust that. So that's how I know this translates into results, because I've seen it. I've witnessed it enough times to know when you're a different person, when you're tuned into a different frequency of who you are, of your potential, when you turn that potential into probability, then that probability is going to become a fact. That's how it works. So thanks for entertaining this call, these 45 minutes together. And I realize how precious our time is together. So I hope that you found this time valuable for you. I'm sure as you integrate this in the next 24 hours, as this starts to, I'm glad it's almost night, sleep time, because that's when the subconscious mind will grab hold of this and maybe run with it. So I look forward to hearing some of the news from you as to how this plays out in your life. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you, Mike.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay.